You're not broke because you're unlucky. You're broke because you were trained to stay that way. They told you to go to school, get a job, save a little, and pray it's enough. But that's the exact formula for lifelong financial slavery. The truth is this: the system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed, to keep you working, worrying, and wishing. If you're tired of being broke, it's time to break the programming. In the next 2 hours, I'm going to rip apart every lie you've been told about money and replace it with the real rules of wealth the rich never shared. Chapter 1. Money isn't real. It's a game you were never taught to play. You were never taught how money actually works. You were taught how to earn it, but not how to use it. You were told to get a job, collect a paycheck, and be grateful. But here's the truth no one told you. Money isn't real. It's an illusion built on confidence, trust, and systems of control. And until you understand that, you'll always be a pawn in someone else's game. When you were growing up, they made you believe money was paper. They told you it came from work, that you had to trade your time, your energy, your sweat to get it. But the wealthy know something different. They know money is not the paper in your wallet or the numbers in your bank account. Money is belief, belief backed by structure. It's a scoreboard, a record of who knows how to move value, a reflection of who's playing offense and who's stuck on defense. Money flows to those who understand it, and it abandons those who simply work for it. Look at the world's wealthiest people. They don't work the hardest. They don't clock in earlier or stay later than you. They understand the game. They understand that money doesn't reward effort. It rewards leverage. It rewards people who use systems, assets, and capital to multiply results without multiplying time. Here's the formula no school ever gave you. Money equals value times leverage. If you can create value and multiply that value using leverage, you'll never be broke again. But if all you can do is trade time for money, your income will always be capped. You can't scale a 24-hour day. You can't duplicate yourself. And that's why you feel stuck. Let's talk about the illusion of money. You think that when your employer sends you a paycheck, you've earned money. But that paycheck isn't money. It's credit. It's a digital promise that the system honors your contribution for now. Real money isn't made through labor. It's made through control of capital. It's made by owning assets that produce cash flow, dividends, and appreciation, while others are still clocking in. That's the game the rich play. They use debt to buy assets. They use systems to scale time. They use other people's skills to multiply income. You were taught to play defense, save, budget, and avoid risk. They told you to fear debt and worship stability. They programmed you to think small because they profit from your fear. The government profits when you borrow and pay taxes. Banks profit when you save and spend. Corporations profit when you stay dependent on a paycheck. You think the system is broken. No, it's perfectly designed. Designed to keep you working for people who understand the game you were never taught to play. So let's break down the 3 levels of the money game and where you stand. Level 1, the labor. You trade time for money. You sell hours. You live paycheck to paycheck. Your income is linear. Work more, earn more. Stop working, earn nothing. This is financial survival mode, where 90% of the population lives. Level 2, the leverager. You use systems, skills, and capital to multiply your output. Maybe you run a business, invest, or build digital income streams. You've learned how to earn while you sleep. This is the level where freedom begins. Level 3, the controller. You don't just play the game. You own it. You create the assets others depend on. You move markets. You control capital. You write the rules that everyone else follows. Your goal is not to stay at level 1 forever. Your goal is to climb the pyramid, to move from laborer to leverager to controller. Here's the truth most people can't handle. You were trained to be a good employee, not a wealthy individual. The school system didn't teach you leverage. It taught you obedience. It didn't teach you how to build capital. It taught you how to earn wages. That's why so many smart people stay broke. They know how to work, but not how to multiply. They know how to earn, but not how to compound. And that's the real tragedy. Not a lack of intelligence, but a lack of understanding. If you want to win the money game, you must stop thinking like a worker and start thinking like a strategist. Workers ask, how can I make more money? Strategists ask, how can I make money move for me? Workers chase hours. Strategists build systems. Workers hope for raises. Strategists create leverage. This shift in thinking, from labor to leverage, is the single biggest transformation you'll ever make financially. Because once you stop believing that money is earned through time, you'll realize it's earned through design. The design of your systems, your decisions, your investments. Here's your reality check. Every dollar you have right now is a soldier. You can either let that soldier sit idle in a savings account, earning less than inflation, or you can send it to the battlefield, to fight for you, to bring back more soldiers, to build your army of capital. The rich understand this. Every dollar they earn is deployed into cash-flowing assets, real estate, businesses, digital products, intellectual property, stocks. They don't hoard money, they circulate it. Because money loves movement, and stagnant money dies. Let's make this practical. How do you step into the game? 3 moves, starting now. Move 1. Stop worshiping your paycheck. Your job is a tool, not an identity. Use it to fund your future, not your lifestyle. The moment you start relying on your paycheck to survive, you've lost control. Move 2. Study the flow of capital. Follow where money goes, taxes, debt, investments, corporations. Ask, who benefits when I make this choice? The answer will always reveal who's playing the game better than you. Move 3. Build or buy assets. Every dollar that doesn't build an asset builds someone else's. Buy ownership in productive systems, a business, a property, a stock, an idea. Because ownership is the only way to escape financial gravity. Here's the rule you must tattoo into your mind. Money is a tool, not a goal. It's not about earning more, it's about using it better. You can't outwork bad money habits, and you can't out-earn financial ignorance. When you understand that money is a game, one driven by psychology, structure, and leverage, you'll finally stop playing the role of the worker and start playing the role of the architect. You'll stop chasing money and start designing wealth. Because wealth isn't luck. Wealth is understanding applied over time. You've just learned the first rule of the money game. Money respects systems, not wishes. It rewards intelligence, not effort. Now that you see how the game is played, it's time to expose the biggest trap keeping you inside it. The next chapter will show you exactly why your job, the thing you think is keeping you safe, is actually keeping you broke. Chapter 2. Your job is the trap. Chapter 2. Your job is the trap. Let's start with the truth you've been avoiding. Your job isn't your security. Your job is your trap. It feels safe. It looks stable. It pays on time. But that comfort you feel? That's the cage closing around you. Your paycheck is not freedom. It's permission. Permission to survive just enough to keep showing up. And that's exactly how the system wants it. From the day you entered school, you were programmed for one path. Work hard, get good grades, find a job, and live happily ever after. That's not education. That's indoctrination. They trained you to be an employee. They didn't teach you ownership, leverage, or financial autonomy. They taught you compliance. You were never supposed to get rich. You were supposed to be useful, to make someone else rich. That's the system's design, not a conspiracy, but a structure. And if you don't see it for what it is, you'll spend your entire life mistaking a paycheck for power. Let's dissect how the trap works. First, the illusion of safety. Most people cling to their jobs because they believe employment equals security. But if your entire livelihood depends on one company, one boss, one paycheck, that's not security. That's fragility. You could lose that income tomorrow. A layoff, a merger, an algorithm, a decision made in a boardroom you'll never step into. And the moment that happens, everything collapses. The bills, the lifestyle, the confidence. Why? Because you built your life on one income stream instead of a financial system. Real security isn't a job. Real security is control. Control over your income, your time, and your ability to produce value without asking permission. Second, the illusion of progress. Jobs dangle promotions, titles, and raises like bait. They keep you climbing a ladder that doesn't lead anywhere but sideways. Every year, you get a little more money, but also a little more debt, a little more stress, and a lot less time. The raise barely covers inflation. The title boosts your ego, but not your freedom. You trade your 20s, 30s, 40s for incremental rewards that never compound into real wealth. You're working harder, but your position never changes. Because you're not building ownership, you're building dependence. Third, the illusion of purpose. Jobs sell meaning to keep you loyal. They talk about culture, teamwork, and being part of something bigger. But let's be honest, if you stopped showing up tomorrow, the company would replace you in a week. You're not building your dream. You're renting your time to someone else's. You're building their systems, their customer base, their future. And while you build their empire, your own potential sits on the shelf, waiting for the right time. That right time never comes, because the job is designed to consume your best hours, your sharpest focus, your creative energy. By the time you get home, you're too tired to build anything of your own. That's not an accident. That's the trap working perfectly. The system rewards obedience, not creativity. You're praised for being dependable, not for being bold. You're trained to seek approval instead of independence. And when you finally wake up and start asking questions, the system calls you ungrateful, unrealistic, even rebellious. That's how deep the programming runs. You've been conditioned to fear freedom, because freedom requires risk, discipline, and responsibility. 3 things most people avoid their entire lives. But here's the shift. You can use your job without letting it use you. That's the difference between the rich and the broke. The broke work in their job. The rich work through their job. They use it as a stepping stone to acquire skills, networks, and capital. They treat employment as a launch pad, not a lifelong commitment. Every job, every paycheck, every skill is fuel for something greater, ownership. Ownership is where freedom begins, because ownership means control. Let's make this practical. If you're stuck in a job right now, here's how to turn it into your training ground instead of your prison. Step 1. Extract skills, not just wages. Every day at your job, you're surrounded by information that can build wealth, sales systems, marketing, negotiation, communication. But most employees ignore it. They just do their tasks. Start studying the business. Ask, how does this company make money? What do they charge for? What are their profit drivers? Then learn those skills. Because once you can make a company money, you can make yourself money. The skill set is portable. The paycheck isn't. Step 2. Monetize your free hours. If you work 8 hours for your employer, you owe yourself 2 hours every day for your own vision. After work, don't collapse into entertainment. Build something. A side business. A digital product. A service. A brand. Use your evenings to build leverage. The job funds your freedom if you use it right. But if you waste your off hours, the job consumes your life. Step 3. Convert income into assets. Most employees use their paycheck to buy liabilities, cars, clothes, vacations. Rich thinkers use that same paycheck to buy assets, stocks, skills, or systems that multiply money. Your paycheck is your seed money. Use it to buy your way out of dependence. When you invest part of every paycheck into something that works without you, you're building an escape hatch. That's how you turn employment into empowerment. Step 4. Plan your exit, not your retirement. The middle class waits until 65 to finally stop working. The wealthy design a 3 to 5 year exit plan. That plan might look like this. Year 1. Build savings and learn skills. Year 2. Start a side hustle. Year 3. Double down on what works. Year 4. Replace your income. Year 5. Leave the job. You don't quit overnight. You build your bridge. Freedom isn't a fantasy. It's a formula. Understand this. Jobs are not evil. They're just limited. The danger is not in working a job. The danger is in staying there forever. If you don't outgrow your job will outlive your potential. And when that happens, you'll wake up one day with a resume full of experience and a life full of regret. Because deep down you'll know. You traded your best years for someone else's comfort. The rich see employment as a stage, not a destination. It's where you learn the game before you start playing for yourself. So stop calling your job your career. Start calling it what it really is. Your training ground for freedom. Use your job to buy time, build skills, and stack capital. But never confuse the job for the goal. The goal is ownership. The goal is control. The goal is freedom. So here's your challenge. Tomorrow, when you go to work, don't see yourself as an employee. See yourself as an investor, extracting value, learning systems, and preparing for independence. Every email you send, every project you complete, every meeting you sit through, ask yourself, how can I use this skill to build something for myself? That's how you flip the game. That's how you walk out of the trap with leverage. You've learned today that a job is not your security. It's your stepping stone. It's not your end game. It's your education. But there's one more piece of the puzzle you must master next. You can't escape the job trap if you keep trading time for money. That's the next illusion we're about to destroy. Chapter 3. Stop trading time for money. Chapter 3. Stop trading time for money. Let's get one thing clear from the start. Time is your most expensive currency. And the poor spend it. The rich invest it. That's the difference. That's the divide. That's the truth no one told you. You've been conditioned to believe time equals money. That's a lie. Time is infinitely more valuable than money because you can always make more money, but you can never make more time. Every day you wake up and sell your hours for dollars. You're trading your freedom for survival. You're converting the only resource you can't replenish into something that loses value every year, cash. And you're doing it in the name of security. But here's the truth. Trading time for money is the slowest path to wealth. It's the poverty formula wrapped in the illusion of hard work. You think you're making progress because you're busy. But busy doesn't equal wealthy. Busy equals trapped. Listen carefully. There are two types of income in this world: active income and passive income. Active income is what you earn when you show up. You're paid for your time, your labor, your attention. It's the paycheck, the hourly wage, the consulting fee. Passive income is what you earn when you don't show up. It's the cash that flows whether you're awake or asleep. It's what happens when your assets work harder than you do. Active income keeps you exhausted. Passive income keeps you free. That's the fundamental divide between the middle class and the wealthy. Let's break this down even deeper. When you rely solely on active income, you live in constant scarcity. You're always one missed paycheck away from panic. You're always one medical bill away from chaos. You're always one bad month away from debt. That's not freedom. That's financial slavery dressed up as a career. And here's the catch. The more you rely on active income, the less time you have to build passive income. You're stuck in the cycle, the treadmill of effort, running faster, going nowhere. That's why so many people feel burned out, anxious, and behind, because they're working harder than ever, but never building leverage. Now, what is leverage? Leverage is the multiplier of wealth. It's how the rich expand their reach without expanding their time. There are 4 main types of leverage. 1. Financial leverage, money that works for you. Investments, dividends, real estate, stocks, equity. When your capital creates more capital, that's financial leverage. 2. System leverage, processes that run without you. Automation, digital products, online systems. That's how businesses scale while you sleep. 3. People leverage, other people's time and talent. Employees, contractors, partners. You can't do everything alone. Wealthy people buy back their time by paying others to perform tasks. 4. Media leverage, content, code, and creativity. Books, courses, videos, software. Once built, they continue producing value long after you've stopped working. That's how modern wealth is built. Not through harder work, but through smarter leverage. Now, here's the mental shift. You're not supposed to work less. You're supposed to work differently. The poor work for money. The wealthy make money work for them. The broke chase income. The rich chase assets. Let's say you make $50,000 a year working a job. If you stop working, you stop earning. That's active income. Now imagine you own a rental property that pays you $1,000 a month, a small business that brings in $2,000, and a digital course that sells while you sleep. That's $3,000 a month, whether you wake up at 6 a.m. or noon. That's leverage. That's how freedom begins. But most people never get there, because they're mentally programmed to value effort over efficiency. They feel guilty when they're not working. They associate busyness with worth. They think success means exhaustion. That's not ambition. That's conditioning. That's the trap the system built for you. The truth is this. Money doesn't care how hard you work. It cares how intelligently you move. It doesn't reward time. It rewards strategy. Money follows systems, not sweat. Money follows discipline, not dreams. Money follows leverage, not labor. That's the real law of wealth. Let's talk about what you can do right now, today, to stop trading time for money. Step 1. Track every hour you sell. Be brutally honest. How much of your day is spent doing something that only pays once? If it pays you only while you're doing it, it's temporary income. Identify those hours and start reducing them. Step 2. Build one stream of recurring income. Start small. Maybe it's a rental. Maybe it's an affiliate product. Maybe it's a digital offer, a membership, or an investment portfolio. You don't need $1 million business. You need one stream that pays without your presence. Step 3. Automate or delegate low-value tasks. Stop doing everything yourself. Your time is your leverage. Every hour spent on a $10 task costs you $100 in lost opportunity. Outsource. Automate. Simplify. The wealthy don't do more, they do less, but better. Step 4. Buy assets, not attention. Most people spend money trying to look rich instead of becoming rich. Every dollar you spend should either grow your income or buy you time. If it does neither, it's a liability. Remember this. Every time you sell an hour, you're making someone else rich. Every time you build a system, you're making yourself rich. That's the difference between employees and entrepreneurs, between consumers and creators, between the broke and the wealthy. Because wealth isn't built by working harder. It's built by building machines that work harder than you do. You need to stop asking, how can I make more money? And start asking, how can I make money move without me? That's the millionaire question. That's the freedom question. Here's a harsh truth. If you can't make money while you sleep, you'll work until you die. That's not dramatic, that's math. Inflation will eat your savings. Taxes will eat your income. Time will eat your energy. If you don't build assets that pay you continuously, the system wins, and you lose. You'll retire exhausted, not free. And freedom, not retirement, should be your goal. Let's anchor this. Wealth isn't about luck. It's not about intelligence. It's about structure. Money follows behavior. Wealth follows systems. And your time, your most valuable asset, must be invested, not spent. You have a choice with every hour. Spend it or invest it. Use it to survive, or use it to escape. That's the difference between broke and wealthy. Here's your assignment for today. Audit your time. Write down where every hour goes. Then mark which hours make you money once, and which hours make you money repeatedly. If you don't have any hours that produce recurring income, start building one. Because until you do, you're not building wealth, you're just renting it. You've learned today that wealth is not about working harder. It's about working smarter with leverage. You now know that every hour you trade for cash is an hour you lose forever. But there's a deeper truth waiting, one that separates the middle class from the wealthy completely. It's not just how you earn money. It's how you use debt that determines your wealth. So in the next chapter, we'll destroy one of the biggest lies you've ever been told, that debt is bad. Chapter 4. Debt is not the enemy. Ignorance is. Chapter 4. Debt is not the enemy. Ignorance is. Let's start with the truth. Debt is not your enemy. Ignorance is. Most people are terrified of debt because they've only ever seen it used the wrong way. They've seen people drown in credit cards, car payments, and personal loans. They've seen their parents stress over mortgages. They've seen friends chase approval with financed lifestyles. So they label debt as evil. They call it dangerous. They tell you, stay away from debt. But here's the reality the wealthy already know. Debt is a tool. And like any tool, it's dangerous in the wrong hands and powerful in the right ones. Debt doesn't destroy people. Misused debt does. Uneducated debt does. Debt without discipline does. The poor use debt to look rich. The rich use debt to get richer. That's the difference. Broke people borrow to consume. Rich people borrow to create. Broke people buy liabilities, cars, clothes, gadgets, vacations. Rich people buy assets, real estate, businesses, systems, intellectual property. One drains your future. The other funds it. That's the mindset divide you must break today. Let's simplify this. There are two types of debt, bad debt and good debt. Bad debt costs you money every month. It takes from your pocket. It's debt attached to things that lose value, consumer goods, depreciating cars, overpriced education, or flex purchases. Good debt pays you every month. It puts money into your pocket. It's debt used to acquire assets, property that cash flows, equipment that generates income, businesses that produce profit. Bad debt makes you poorer. Good debt makes you richer. And if you learn how to use good debt strategically, you'll multiply your wealth faster than most people can comprehend. But before we talk strategy, let's address the root problem, fear. You've been trained to fear debt because you were never taught to control it. Society teaches you to avoid what it doesn't understand. The average person hears debt and feels anxiety. The wealthy hear debt and see opportunity because they understand this one truth. Money has a cost, and that cost can be leveraged. When you borrow money for the right reason, you're not just spending, you're accelerating. You're using capital as fuel for growth. But when you borrow to consume, you're using capital to feed addiction. And that's the difference between rich leverage and poor impulse. Let's talk about how the rich use debt strategically. 1. Real estate leverage. The rich don't save for a house. They borrow to control the house, then let the house pay for itself. They use debt to buy appreciating assets that generate monthly income. A $300,000 rental property with a mortgage may cost you $1,500 a month. But if it rents for $2,200, the tenant is paying your debt while you collect the spread. You didn't just borrow, you leveraged. 2. Business leverage. Entrepreneurs use loans and credit to scale operations, not to splurge. They borrow to buy inventory, marketing, or systems that multiply revenue. The average person borrows to buy things that disappear in a year. The rich borrow to build things that compound for decades. 3. Capital leverage. Wealthy investors use margin loans, private credit, and lines of capital to acquire more assets when opportunities appear. They don't fear the interest rate because they understand return on investment. If you can borrow at 5% and earn 12%, that's not a liability, that's a strategy. But you have to know what you're doing. Ignorance turns leverage into liability. Now let's flip the mirror. Why do most people misuse debt? Because they treat it like income. They treat a credit limit like cash flow. They borrow emotionally, not strategically. Debt is supposed to serve your future, not your feelings. But the consumer mindset says, I want it now. That's why credit card companies own the middle class. They exploit impatience. They profit off of people who trade tomorrow's freedom for today's comfort. Every dollar you finance for short-term pleasure delays your long-term independence. And that's the trap the system hopes you never escape. Here's a truth that should shake you. The rich use your bad debt to fuel their good debt. The money you spend on financed lifestyles feeds the same banks that lend to investors. You're funding their wealth. They're using your interest payments to buy more assets. So while you're working overtime to pay off your liabilities, they're collecting passive income from your debt. That's how the system actually works. And until you understand it, you'll keep playing for the losing team. Now let's make this real for you. Here's how to transform your relationship with debt starting today. Step 1. Audit your liabilities. List every debt you have. Credit cards, loans, mortgages. Beside each, ask one question. Does this make me money or cost me money? If it costs you money, it's bad debt. If it makes you money, it's good debt. If you don't know, you're not in control. Step 2. Kill consumer debt aggressively. You can't build wealth while you're bleeding interest. Attack your high-interest debt like your life depends on it, because your financial life does. Debt is a chain. Every dollar you owe limits your freedom. Cut the chains one by one. Not out of fear, out of power. Step 3. Rebuild with leverage. Once you've cleaned the slate, use credit and capital strategically. Build creditworthiness, access lines of credit, and invest in cash-flowing opportunities. Borrow only when the return exceeds the cost, and only for productive assets. That's how the rich think. They don't avoid debt, they master it. Here's the shift you must make. Stop seeing debt as a problem. Start seeing it as a partnership. Debt, when controlled, is your ally. Debt, when abused, is your enemy. The difference is not in the numbers, it's in your mindset. Money doesn't care if it's borrowed or earned. It only cares where it flows and how it grows. That's why ignorance is the real enemy. Because ignorance leads to misuse, and misuse leads to bondage. Remember this phrase. Debt is power for the educated, punishment for the ignorant. If you learn to control it, it will expand your freedom. If you avoid it out of fear, you'll stay small. If you abuse it, it will crush you. The choice is yours. You can keep hiding from debt like it's a monster under the bed, or you can face it, learn it, and use it to build an empire. The difference between broke and wealthy is not access, it's awareness. The banks don't have more opportunity than you. They just know how to turn capital into motion. You can do the same. If you stop thinking like a borrower and start thinking like an investor, you've learned today that debt isn't evil, it's neutral. It only becomes destructive when it controls you. It becomes powerful when you control it. And that's the financial truth the wealthy never fear to face. But even when you master debt, there's still one more battlefield you have to win, the one that shaped your thinking in the first place. Because the system that taught you to fear debt also taught you to fear wealth. Next chapter, the school system designed you to be broke. Chapter 5. The school system designed you to be broke. Let's start with a truth you were never supposed to hear. School was never designed to make you wealthy. It was designed to make you obedient, to make you compliant, to make you predictable. You were taught how to follow instructions, not how to think independently. You were trained to chase permission, not opportunity. You were educated to become a worker, not a winner. And that's why most people spend their entire lives trading time for money, instead of learning how money actually works. Let's be clear, education is valuable, but the system you went through wasn't built for financial freedom. It was built for control. Look at its origins. The modern school system was modeled after the industrial factory. Rows of students, bells, schedules, supervisors. You were conditioned for the assembly line, not the marketplace. The system needed obedient workers, not independent thinkers. It needed employees, not entrepreneurs. It needed laborers who would show up on time, follow rules, and not ask questions. That's what you were trained to become. That's why you were never taught how to build wealth. Think back. Did anyone teach you about taxes? About compound interest? About credit, leverage, assets, or passive income? No. You were taught how to calculate triangles and memorize dates, but never how to calculate your net worth or your return on investment. You were told to get good grades so you could get a good job. But no one told you that a job without ownership is financial captivity. That's not an accident. That's design. Understand this. The system profits from your ignorance. It needs you to believe that working harder will make you richer. It needs you to think that debt is bad, taxes are fixed, and investments are risky. Because if you believed otherwise, you wouldn't need the system. The government wants taxpayers. Corporations want workers. Banks want borrowers. Schools supply them all. You're not supposed to win in that equation. You're supposed to participate forever. That's the financial machine you were plugged into the moment you walked into a classroom. Now let's expose how this conditioning shapes your money mindset. In school, you learn that failure is bad. In wealth, failure is feedback. In school, mistakes get punished. In wealth, mistakes get analyzed, adjusted, and monetized. In school, you're rewarded for conformity. In wealth, you're rewarded for creativity. See the conflict? You've been programmed to fear the very behaviors that create financial freedom. You learn to seek safety, not success. You learn to follow rules, not results. You learn to depend on authority, not accountability. And that's why so many smart people stay broke. They know how to memorize information, but not how to multiply money. Let's break down the 3 biggest lies you were taught in school about money, and what you must believe instead. Lie number 1. Go to school, get a degree, get a good job. That path worked in 1950. It doesn't work in the digital age. Jobs are fragile. Degrees are overpriced. And good jobs don't exist when inflation outpaces income. The new economy rewards ownership, not employment. It doesn't care about your GPA. It cares about your impact, your skills, and your ability to produce value. If your income stops when you stop working, you're still financially trapped. You need systems that earn while you sleep, not resumes that age while you work. Lie number 2. Money is evil or greedy. This belief keeps generations in poverty. Money is not evil, it's neutral. It amplifies who you are. The system loves this lie because it keeps you compliant. If you believe money is evil, you'll never pursue it with passion. And if you never pursue it, you'll always depend on those who control it. Reject that lie. Money isn't evil, ignorance is. And the more money you have, the more good you can do with it. Lie number 3. Play it safe. You were told to avoid risk. But avoiding risk is the biggest risk of all. Every paycheck you depend on is one decision away from disappearing. Safety doesn't come from security. It comes from skills and systems. The rich aren't reckless. They're educated risk-takers. They study money. They understand it. And they use it as a tool for expansion. That's what you were never taught to do. Now let's talk about re-education, the real subjects of wealth that you must master on your own. There are 3 of them: investing, leverage, and mindset. 1. Investing. The wealthy don't save, they allocate. They know that inflation destroys idle money. They use capital to buy assets that grow faster than inflation steals. Stocks, real estate, businesses, digital assets. They diversify, but they always focus on cash flow and appreciation. Every dollar they invest has a job: to multiply. 2. Leverage. This is the great separator. Leverage means doing more with less time, less effort, less capital. It's using systems, people, or technology to amplify output. You can't get rich off effort alone. Effort is limited. Leverage is infinite. Rich people use debt as leverage. They use other people's time as leverage. They use automation and technology as leverage. You must learn to replace labor with leverage. That's how wealth scales. 3. Mindset. This is the foundation of everything. Without it, nothing else sticks. You must deprogram the beliefs that keep you broke. Money is hard to get. Rich people are lucky. I'm just not good with money. All lies. All conditioning. You weren't born with a poor mindset. You were trained into one. And you can train your way out. Study wealth. Immerse yourself in it. Learn from those who built it, not those who criticize it. Money follows awareness. If you expand your financial intelligence, your bank account will follow. Here's what you can do today to start reprogramming your financial education. Read 1 page of a wealth-building book daily. Even 1 page is enough to shift your perspective. The right sentence can replace a decade of ignorance. Audit your influences. Stop taking money advice from broke people. Stop letting teachers, relatives, or friends who've never built wealth define your potential. Take 1 financial action per week. Open an investment account. Track your expenses. Pay down a high-interest debt. Buy an asset instead of a liability. Don't just learn, move. Because wealth rewards execution, not information. The system trained you to think money is complicated. It's not. It's simple, but it's not easy. You were taught to obey. Now you must unlearn and take control. No one's coming to save you. No teacher, no government, no job. Your financial freedom is your responsibility, fully and completely. You don't need permission to be wealthy. You need clarity, courage, and consistency. The school system gave you structure, but not sovereignty. It gave you information, but not transformation. It gave you direction, but not freedom. And now it's time to take that freedom back. Because once you see the game, you can never unsee it. Once you learn how money actually works, you'll never go back to living for the next paycheck. You'll start building systems instead of chasing salaries. You'll start investing instead of consuming. You'll start thinking like an owner, not an employee. That's when you truly graduate, not from school, but from financial dependence. You've learned that the system was never meant to make you rich. It was meant to keep you reliable. But you're done being reliable. You're ready to be free. Because financial freedom isn't a diploma. It's a decision. And that decision begins now. You've learned how the system shaped your mind. Now, let's talk about how to reshape your environment. Because your circle is your future. Chapter 6. The company you keep is making you broke. Chapter 6. The 9-to-5 mindset is a poverty program. Let's get this straight right now. The 9-to-5 mindset is not just a schedule. It's a system. And that system was built to keep you broke, tired, and dependent. You were programmed to believe that working harder equals earning more. You were told that loyalty to a paycheck equals stability. You were promised that time and effort would buy freedom. But here's the harsh truth. That formula doesn't work anymore. Because in today's world, you're not paid for effort. You're paid for impact. You're not paid for time. You're paid for value. And the moment you realize that, everything about how you earn money must change. The 9-to-5 mindset is comfortable. And that's the trap. It keeps you surviving, not thriving. It tells you that security is success, but it hides the price. Your time, your creativity, your potential. You clock in, you clock out, and in between you trade the best hours of your life for someone else's dream. And at the end of the month, you get just enough to stay comfortable, but never enough to break free. That's not security. That's dependence disguised as safety. Because if your entire income can vanish with one corporate decision, you're not secure, you're trapped. If your paycheck stops the moment you stop working, you're not free, you're rented. Now let's talk about how this mindset was programmed into you. From childhood, you were told, go to school, get a job, work hard, retire at 65. That's not advice, that's a financial script. And like any script, if you don't rewrite it, it runs your life. You were conditioned to be a good worker, not a builder, not an owner, not a thinker. You were rewarded for showing up on time, not for creating something new. You were graded on memorization, not innovation. And you were told that climbing the ladder was safer than building your own. But that's a lie, because the ladder only exists to keep you climbing. The higher you climb, the harder you fall, because you don't own the ladder. And wealth only comes when you stop climbing someone else's ladder and start building your own. Here's what the wealthy understand that employees never do. Time is not your main asset. Control is. If you don't control your income, your schedule, or your decisions, you don't own your life. You're just renting it. The wealthy don't think in hours. They think in systems. They don't think, how can I earn more? They think, how can I remove myself from the equation? That's the real game of wealth. And it starts with reprogramming how you think about work itself. Let's break down the 3 mental traps of the 9-to-5 mindset and how to destroy each one. Trap number 1. Hard work equals success. No. Hard work equals exhaustion. Smart work, strategic work, leveraged work, that's where success lives. If hard work alone created wealth, construction workers and nurses would be millionaires. But they're not, because the system rewards leverage, not labor. You don't get rich by working harder. You get rich by owning what your work creates. Ownership beats effort every time. Stop asking, how many hours can I work? Start asking, how can I make every hour work for me? That's the difference between a worker and a winner. Trap number 2. Job loyalty brings security. No, loyalty brings predictability for them, not you. You can give a company 20 years, and they can erase you in 20 seconds. The wealthy aren't loyal to employers. They're loyal to opportunity. They understand that every job is a stepping stone, not a destination. Your job should be your training ground, not your tomb. Use it to learn. Use it to build skills. Use it to create capital. But the goal is always freedom, not comfort. Because every paycheck should be a tool for independence, not a chain that keeps you in place. Trap number 3. Saving is enough. You've been told to save your way to wealth, but you can't save your way out of inflation, taxation, or stagnation. The 9-to-5 mindset says, play defense. The wealth mindset says, play offense. The rich don't hoard, they allocate. They don't sit on money, they multiply it. If your money isn't working while you sleep, you're still working for money. And the goal is to flip that equation, to make money chase you, not the other way around. So how do you escape the 9 to 5 mindset? You start with 3 critical shifts. Shift number 1, from employee to investor. The employee asks, "How much can I earn this month?" The investor asks, "How much can I build this year?" The employee focuses on income. The investor focuses on assets. Start redirecting your income into ownership, stocks, real estate, digital products, equity. Stop buying things that depreciate. Start acquiring things that appreciate. Every dollar you earn has a job to bring back more dollars. That's how money multiplies. Shift number 2, from time-based thinking to system-based thinking. You only have 24 hours. You can't scale time, but you can scale systems. Ask yourself, how can I earn without being present? That's the mindset of leverage. Create something once that pays you repeatedly. A rental property, a digital asset, a business process, anything that produces cash flow without constant input. The 9 to 5 worker trades time for money. The wealthy trade systems for freedom. Shift number 3, from income security to income autonomy. Security is an illusion. Autonomy is real. When you control your income, you control your future. That doesn't mean you quit your job tomorrow. It means you start building your exit plan today. Use your job as capital, not captivity. Extract skills, build side income streams, and transition into ownership. It's not about reckless quitting. It's about strategic escaping. You don't need to be anti-job. You just need to be pro-freedom. Here's the mindset truth that will change your life. The 9 to 5 is not the problem. Staying in it forever is. Your job can fund your freedom if you use it correctly. But if you stay in it for comfort, it will consume your potential. Because jobs teach you to depend on others for validation, income, and identity. And the moment you depend on someone else for your financial survival, you've given up your power. Money follows power, and power follows control. So the goal isn't just to earn more, it's to control how you earn. Let's talk about action. Here's what you can do right now to start breaking the 9 to 5 program. Stop identifying as your job title. You are not your role. You are your results. Start defining yourself by your value, not your position. Create one income stream outside your job within 90 days. It can be small, a product, a service, an investment. The goal isn't to replace your job yet. It's to prove to yourself that you can create money on your own terms. Track your time like you track your money. If time is your most expensive currency, start budgeting it. Replace entertainment with education. Replace overtime with ownership. You're not just earning, you're evolving. The 9 to 5 mindset is comfortable, predictable, and deadly. It kills ambition slowly. It trades your best years for weekends. It keeps you busy so you never get free. But once you see the program, you can reprogram yourself. You can stop being a participant and start being a producer. Because the moment you think like an owner, you stop acting like an employee. And that's when real wealth begins. Money follows mindset. Mindset follows awareness. And awareness starts with unlearning what you were taught about work. You don't need more hours. You need more leverage. You don't need a raise. You need results. This is how money actually works. You've learned that the 9 to 5 mindset is a poverty program. One that trades time for survival instead of leverage for freedom. But even when you start breaking free, there's another trap waiting for you. The lifestyle trap that keeps the middle class broke no matter how much they earn. Next chapter. Lifestyle inflation, the silent killer of wealth. Chapter 7. Consumption is the new slavery. Let's be honest, most people aren't broke because they don't earn enough. They're broke because they spend like they're rich before they actually are. They don't have an income problem. They have a consumption addiction. And in today's world, consumption isn't just normal, it's celebrated. People flex their chains on social media and call it success. They rent lifestyles to impress people who don't even like them. But here's the truth. Every unnecessary purchase is a down payment on your financial slavery. Let's define this clearly. There are two kinds of spending: productive spending and destructive spending. Productive spending creates or preserves value. It buys tools, skills, assets, or access. Destructive spending buys image, ego, and instant gratification. The first kind sets you free. The second kind buries you. And here's the catch. Both types can look the same on the surface. You can buy a car for freedom or for status. You can buy clothes for professionalism or for validation. You can buy a house as an investment or as a financial coffin. The difference isn't in the item. It's in the intention. Every dollar has direction. And if your money isn't working for you, it's working against you. Consumerism is the modern plantation. Instead of whips and chains, it uses marketing and dopamine. Instead of slave masters, it has algorithms and influencers. Instead of forcing you to work, it convinces you to volunteer for it. Every ad you see, every limited offer, every new phone upgrade, they all whisper the same message. You're not enough until you buy this. And people fall for it, again and again. They don't realize the game isn't about ownership anymore. It's about control. You don't own that car, the bank does. You don't own the house, the lender does. You don't own that luxury bag, your credit card company does. You don't even own your peace of mind, because your next payment already owns it. That's not freedom. That's financial slavery disguised as lifestyle. Let's talk about what's actually happening. Every time you buy something on emotion, you make a trade. You trade future freedom for present comfort. You trade your ability to invest for your need to impress. You trade growth for gratification. It's not that luxury is bad. It's that luxury before leverage is poison. The rich buy assets first, luxuries later. The broke buy luxuries first, assets never. The wealthy don't avoid pleasure, they just delay it. Because they understand the simple math. $1 spent on a want today costs $10 in future growth. When you invest, money compounds. When you consume, money collapses. Let's break down the psychology of consumption. Your brain is wired for survival, not wealth. It wants reward now, not later. That's why instant gratification is so powerful. It triggers dopamine, the same chemical that addicts experience from drugs or gambling. When you click buy now, your brain lights up. You feel powerful, important, validated. But once the high fades, you feel empty. So you buy again. This is neural enslavement. And the corporations know it. They design everything, from the color of add to cart buttons to the sound of notifications, to keep you hooked. They don't want you free. They want you predictable. Because predictable consumers are profitable slaves. So how do you break free? You don't fight consumption with deprivation. You fight it with consciousness. Let me give you 5 steps to break the consumption trap and reclaim your financial freedom. Step 1. Buy only what multiplies. Before every purchase, ask, will this make me richer, smarter, or freer? If the answer is no, it's not a purchase, it's a trap. Buy books before sneakers. Buy stocks before status. Buy skills before thrills. If it doesn't grow you or your money, it's an anchor. Step 2. Create a 48-hour delay rule. Every time you want to buy something impulsively, wait 48 hours. If you still want it after that, buy it. Impulse fades faster than logic. Time creates clarity. The wealthy don't buy emotionally. They buy strategically. Step 3. Reverse the dopamine. Right now, you get dopamine from spending. You need to train your brain to get dopamine from saving and investing. Every time you save $100 or invest in an asset, celebrate it. Track your progress. Gamify it. Turn discipline into your new addiction. Because when investing becomes your high, you become unstoppable. Step 4. Cut the social comparison. Comparison is consumption's fuel. You're not competing with other people. You're competing with your potential. Stop measuring success by what people show. Start measuring it by what you're building. Remember, broke people flaunt income. Wealthy people protect net worth. Your goal isn't to look rich. It's to be unshakable. Step 5. Build the Freedom Fund. Set up an account that exists solely for investments and income-producing assets. This is your escape plan. Every time you earn, pay your future first. Even if it's just 10%. Even if it's small. Because consistency compounds faster than cash. Every dollar that enters that account is a soldier for your freedom. And your army grows every month. You resist the urge to consume. Here's what people misunderstand. Freedom isn't built by big moves. It's built by small, repeated acts of discipline. The moment you stop spending to feel good and start investing to grow, everything shifts. You stop reacting to money and start commanding it. You go from consumer to controller, from spender to strategist, from slave to sovereign. That's the mindset evolution. Now let's make this real. Look at your last 30 days of spending. Every transaction tells a story. Was that $100 dinner really about food or about validation? Was that gadget about convenience or boredom? Was that vacation about rest or escape? Most people don't have money problems. They have meaning problems. They use consumption to fill a void that money was never meant to fill. Freedom isn't found in buying more. It's found in needing less. The less you need, the more powerful you become. Because the less you depend on consumption, the more your money can work for creation. Here's a financial truth most will never understand. Your wealth is measured by what you keep, not what you display. The car doesn't define you. The brand doesn't define you. The followers don't define you. Freedom defines you. You are either spending to look rich or investing to get rich, but you cannot do both. Consumption is the new slavery. It's the reason most people work 40 years and die with regret. It's the quiet addiction that keeps you chained to your paycheck. But here's the good news. Awareness is the first form of rebellion. Once you see the system, you can't unsee it. And once you stop feeding it, you reclaim control. So from this day forward, choose creation over consumption. Choose ownership over image. Choose freedom over feelings. Because the only flex that matters is financial independence. You've now broken the illusion of consumption, the slavery of buying comfort at the cost of control. But even when you stop wasting money, one more obstacle remains. The people around you. The ones who pull you back into average thinking and small money habits. Next chapter. Your environment is keeping you broke. Chapter 8. Your circle keeps you poor. Let's get one thing straight. You will never out-earn your environment. Your income, your mindset, your habits, they all reflect the people you spend the most time with. If you're surrounded by average minds, you'll live an average life. If you're surrounded by broke people who justify being broke, you'll join their choir. But if you get around people who talk about investments, discipline, and execution, your standards change. Your expectations rise. Your actions elevate. Because wealth is contagious. So is mediocrity. Here's the harsh truth most people don't want to face. You are not loyal to your friends. You're loyal to your standards. And your standards are shaped by your circle. If you're the smartest, most disciplined person in your group, you're not growing. You're decaying. Because comfort breeds stagnation, and stagnation kills ambition. Money doesn't come to those who want it. It comes to those who adapt to its rules. And one of the biggest rules is this. You attract the money your environment allows. You can't talk abundance in a room that worships scarcity. You can't think growth when your circle celebrates mediocrity. You can't build an empire while your friends complain about the rent. Let's get tactical. You can break this concept into 3 layers. Your financial inputs, your emotional environment, your energy circle. These three determine how fast or how far you'll grow financially. 1. Your financial inputs. Every conversation you have about money either multiplies you or manipulates you. Most broke people spend their lives talking about what they can't afford. The wealthy spend their time discussing how to create more. Listen closely. Average people talk about expenses. Wealthy people talk about assets. Average people gossip. Wealthy people strategize. If you spend your energy around people who always discuss what's wrong with the system, you'll start believing the system is unbeatable. But if you spend your time with people who discuss how to beat the system, you'll start finding ways to win. Your financial circle sets your financial ceiling. You will not outperform the level of financial literacy you are surrounded by. So ask yourself, who do you talk money with? Do they understand investing, ownership, leverage? If not, you're feeding on empty calories. Because just like your diet affects your body, your conversations affect your bank account. You must become ruthless about what information you consume and who you consume it from. Unfollow noise. Unsubscribe from negativity. Detach from broke philosophies dressed up as realism. Remember, cynicism is the language of the broke. 2. Your emotional environment. Money is emotional before it's mathematical. If your circle normalizes anxiety, scarcity, or drama, that chaos becomes your financial baseline. Ever notice how people who constantly talk about struggling always seem to stay there? That's not coincidence. That's conditioning. The subconscious mind absorbs repetition. And if the conversations you hear daily are about survival, not strategy, you'll unconsciously program yourself to survive instead of thrive. You must protect your peace as much as you protect your profits. You can't make high-level money moves when you're constantly managing emotional fires. You can't invest with confidence when your environment is filled with fear. That's why wealthy people pay for access, masterminds, mentorships, elite rooms. Because they're not buying information, they're buying frequency. They're buying peace, focus, and alignment. When you step into a room where everyone's winning, your nervous system recalibrates. Success stops feeling like a dream and starts feeling like a standard. You stop asking, "Is it possible?" and start asking, "What's my next move?" 3. Your energy circle. Here's the truth. Energy is currency. Every person you keep around you is either a deposit or a withdrawal. Some people energize you. They challenge your laziness, sharpen your thinking, and celebrate your wins without envy. Those people are assets. Others drain you. They criticize ambition, justify failure, and make you feel guilty for wanting more. Those people are liabilities. And just like in finance, if you hold too many liabilities, your net worth collapses. Audit your relationships the same way you'd audit a balance sheet. Ask, who adds value? Who subtracts focus? Who multiplies ambition? Who divides energy? Your network is your net worth multiplier. When you're surrounded by driven people, you don't need motivation. You just need exposure. Their momentum rubs off. Their discipline becomes normal. Their results become proof. And suddenly, the goals that once felt impossible now feel overdue. Let me be clear. This doesn't mean you cut off everyone you love. It means you reassign their access. Not everyone gets a seat at the table of your future. Some people belong in your history, not your destiny. It's not about arrogance, it's about alignment. You can love people from a distance and still protect your direction. You can be loyal to your vision without being trapped by your past. You owe everyone kindness, but you owe your future everything. Now, let's turn this philosophy into action. Here's how to rebuild your financial circle starting today. Step 1. Audit your influence. Write down the 5 people you spend the most time with. Then ask, do they lift your standards or lower them? Do they talk about building or complaining? That list is your current financial mirror. Step 2. Add digital mentors. If you can't find wealthy minds in your physical world, build your virtual one. Podcasts, books, YouTube channels, online communities. Consume voices that stretch you, not soothe you. Remember, the internet gives you access to billion-dollar rooms for free, if you choose to enter. Step 3. Join accountability circles. Find or create a group where you track goals, share wins, and stay consistent. Most people fail in silence. Wealthy people grow in systems. You can't evolve in isolation. Step 4. Pay for proximity. Stop seeing mentorship as an expense. It's an investment in compression. A single conversation with the right person can save you years of trial and error. The right environment doesn't cost you. It compounds you. The goal isn't just to have rich friends. It's to create a rich ecosystem where money, ideas, and accountability circulate like oxygen. Because wealth isn't built alone. It's built in tribes of alignment. When your circle grows, your standards grow. And when your standards grow, your results transform. Let me give you a final truth. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your environment. That's why millionaires move cities, change social circles, and reinvent their networks. They understand one thing most people never grasp. Your surroundings either accelerate or assassinate your potential. So stop trying to drag your dreams through environments that don't support them. Stop seeking validation from people who've never built what you want. You owe it to yourself to upgrade your circle, even if it means walking alone for a while. Because walking alone in the right direction beats walking with a crowd going nowhere. The circle you keep determines the ceiling you reach. So build one that speaks your language, the language of discipline, vision, and freedom. Because your wealth isn't built by luck. It's built by proximity to the right energy. You've now learned how your environment shapes your financial destiny. But there's one more shift that separates the financially free from the financially trapped. How they use time. You've learned that your circle controls your standards. Now, it's time to learn how your time controls your wealth. Chapter 9. The Calendar of the Rich. Chapter 9. Money flows to confidence, not desperation. Let's make this simple. Money doesn't chase desperation. It chases certainty. If you sound desperate, you repel opportunity. If you act confident, you attract it. Because the marketplace, whether it's business, clients, investors, or employers, doesn't reward need. It rewards value. And confidence is how value expresses itself. You've probably heard the phrase, fake it till you make it. That's not about lying. It's about believing in your future before the world can see it. Because no one will invest in a person who doesn't even believe in themselves. Confidence isn't arrogance. Confidence is the energy of certainty. It says, I know where I'm going. I know what I offer. I know I deserve to be paid for it. That's what money responds to. Let's talk about why this matters. Most people are financially stuck not because they lack skills, but because they lack self-worth. They underprice their value. They fear rejection. They hesitate when it's time to ask for more. They think playing small is humble. But in reality, it's financial self-sabotage. You will never rise above the worth you assign yourself. If you think you're worth $20 an hour, that's all you'll ever earn. If you believe your ideas are priceless, you'll find ways to turn them into assets that pay you for life. Wealth starts in the mind, not the market. Think about this. Every millionaire, every business leader, every investor, they operate with an inner certainty that says, I can figure it out. That's confidence. Not blind arrogance, but earned belief. They know failure doesn't define them. They know rejection isn't fatal. They know uncertainty is part of the game. The average person, on the other hand, lets fear run their financial life. Fear of losing the job. Fear of making a mistake. Fear of looking foolish. And fear always smells like desperation. When you negotiate from fear, You take less than you deserve. When you invest from fear, you panic sell when the market dips. When you build from fear, you play small because safety feels comfortable. But money doesn't flow to comfort. It flows to confidence. Let's break this down into 3 truths. Truth number 1. Confidence is a financial skill. You weren't born confident. You build it through execution. Confidence doesn't come from affirmations or positive thinking. It comes from keeping promises to yourself. Every time you say you'll do something, and you do it, your self-trust grows. Every time you execute under pressure, your belief deepens. You start to realize, I can handle this. And that belief compounds just like interest. The more you act with discipline, the stronger your internal credit score becomes. Confidence is your personal credit line with yourself. And guess what? The world lends opportunity to those with strong personal credit. If you can't trust yourself, no one else will trust you either. Truth number 2. Desperation leaks through your decisions. You can say all the right words, but desperation always shows up in your actions. It shows up when you underprice your services. It shows up when you chase quick money instead of building long-term wealth. It shows up when you say yes to every client, every deal, every opportunity, even the ones that don't align. That's not strategy. That's survival. And survival is the enemy of success. Here's the paradox. You get more money when you stop needing it so badly. When you approach deals from abundance, when you're willing to walk away, you project strength. And strength attracts respect. Because money, like people, responds to energy. If your energy screams, I need this, money runs. If your energy says, I create this, money follows. So stop chasing. Start attracting. That means turning desperation into discipline. It means replacing, I hope this works, with, I'll make this work. It means standing firm on your value, even when it's uncomfortable. Truth number 3. Self-image sets your income ceiling. You will never out-earn your identity. If deep down you believe you're just getting by, your subconscious will make sure that remains true. If you see yourself as broke, even when you make money, you'll find ways to lose it through bad habits, poor investments, or emotional spending. This is called the financial thermostat. Every person has one. It's the internal setting that dictates what level of wealth feels normal for you. If your thermostat is set to $50,000 a year, and suddenly you make $100,000, you'll unconsciously find ways to sabotage it. Spend more, waste more, or take risks you shouldn't. Because your mind is trying to cool you back down to your comfort zone. That's why lottery winners go broke. And why disciplined earners build fortunes slowly. They've raised their internal thermostat over time. You don't need to fix your finances first. You need to fix your financial identity. You need to stop saying things like, I'm just not good with money. I'm not meant to be rich. I'll never make that kind of money. Those aren't harmless thoughts. They're commands your subconscious obeys. If you tell your brain you can't win, it stops looking for ways to win. So rewire your language. Speak like the person you're becoming, not the person you've been. Say it with me. I'm the kind of person who makes smart money moves. I attract wealth because I create value. I'm not chasing, I'm commanding. That's not delusion. That's direction. Now let's talk about how to build this level of financial confidence in real life. Here's your 5-step framework. Step 1. Audit your language. Eliminate phrases like, I can't afford that. Replace them with, how can I afford that? That single word shift. How forces your brain into solution mode. The poor close their minds. The rich expand them. Step 2. Raise your standards. Stop saying yes to everything. Walk away from low-paying clients, toxic workplaces, or lazy partnerships. You teach the world how to value you by what you tolerate. If you accept scraps, you'll be fed like a beggar. If you demand excellence and back it up with results, the world will pay you accordingly. Step 3. Do one scary financial action weekly. Invest. Pitch. Negotiate. Ask. Each time you act in spite of fear, your comfort zone expands. You start to realize you don't need certainty to move. Movement creates certainty. Confidence doesn't come before action. Confidence is the reward of action. Step 4. Document your wins. Keep a confidence ledger. Write down every time you deliver value, every goal you hit, every disciplined move you make. Review it weekly. Why? Because your brain forgets your progress. You must remind it. Self-evidence builds self-esteem, and self-esteem builds wealth. Step 5. Embody the future you now. Dress better. Speak clearer. Move with intent. You don't wait to arrive to act rich. You start behaving like the person who deserves it today. Because behavior precedes reality. You'll never attract abundance while acting like a victim. You'll never build wealth while waiting for permission. You are the permission. Let's summarize this truth. Money flows to confidence, not desperation. It flows to people who know who they are, what they offer, and what they're worth. It avoids those who beg, chase, or doubt themselves. Because wealth isn't just numbers. It's energy. When you embody abundance, you magnetize opportunity. When you act from scarcity, you repel it. So stop seeking validation. Stop apologizing for wanting more. Stop asking for permission to be great. You don't need anyone to crown you successful. You crown yourself every day through your actions. The world will only pay you what you believe you deserve. So raise the price. You've now learned that money flows to confidence, to those who think, move, and decide from power, not panic. But there's one more rule of wealth you must understand. Confidence gets you started. Systems keep you rich. Now let's go deeper. Next chapter. Chapter 10. Systems build wealth. Feelings destroy it. Chapter 10. Escape the system. Build assets, not excuses. Let's be clear. You will never get rich trading time for money. Not because hard work doesn't matter, but because hard work without leverage is a trap. The system wants you tired, obedient, and predictable. It trains you to clock in, consume, and comply. It tells you to work hard, then taxes your effort and inflates your savings. You don't escape the system by working harder. You escape it by building assets. Because assets, not effort, buy freedom. Think about this. Every dollar you earn can do one of two things. It can work for you, or it can disappear from you. The broke majority spends their income on things that vanish: bills, brands, comfort, convenience. The wealthy minority invests their income into things that produce: businesses, stocks, real estate, intellectual property. That's the dividing line between consumers and creators. Consumers fuel the system. Creators build systems. You can't stay on both sides. You either own equity, or you are the equity. Let's break the illusion once and for all. When you spend your life building someone else's company, you're renting your potential. You're building their dream while yours waits in line. And that's exactly what the system was designed for. The school system trained you to obey authority. The corporate system pays you just enough to keep you from leaving. The financial system keeps you indebted, so you keep producing. But wealth isn't built inside that loop. Wealth is built when you create your own loop, your own system, your own machine, your own assets generating income, whether you clock in or not. That's the exit strategy. Let's define it clearly. An asset is anything that makes you money without you being there. A liability is anything that takes money away, no matter how good it feels. Your car is not an asset. Your job is not an asset. Even your home, unless it pays you, is not an asset. Assets have one rule. They feed you while you sleep. So, what kind of assets build real wealth? Let's break it into 4 categories. 1. Business ownership. The fastest path to freedom is ownership. You can sell your time for a paycheck, or you can build systems that sell value at scale. When you own a business, even a small one, you separate your income from your effort. Start with something simple. A service that solves a real problem. A digital product that sells while you sleep. An agency, brand, or online offer that multiplies your time through automation and delegation. Your business is your personal economy. And until you have one, you're still a dependent of someone else's. 2. Paper assets, stocks, index funds, dividends. When you invest in the market, you buy a piece of other people's productivity. That's leverage. Every share you own is an employee that never sleeps. It works 24/7, compounding your wealth quietly. But here's the catch. You don't invest emotionally. You invest strategically, consistently. Automate your investments. Buy quality companies. Reinvest your dividends. Play the long game. While the broke are chasing sales, you'll be collecting ownership. 3. Real assets, real estate, rentals, land. Land doesn't move. That's why the wealthy love it. Real estate builds equity through time, rent, and appreciation. It's slow money, but strong money. You don't need millions to start. You need education and execution. Learn how to spot undervalued properties. Learn creative financing. Learn cash flow. Because the day your tenant pays your mortgage, you've stepped out of the rat race. 4. Intellectual assets, content, courses, licensing, royalties. This is where the new rich are born. You have ideas, skills, and knowledge. Package them. Sell them. License them. Create online products. Write a book. Record a course. Once created, these become digital assets that earn while you sleep. You build once. You sell forever. That's leverage. Now, let's get brutally honest. If you don't have assets, you are someone else's asset. If you don't own equity, you're building someone else's. If you don't create systems, you'll forever be trapped inside one. It's time to stop saying, I can't afford to invest. You can't afford not to, because every dollar you waste on comfort is a dollar that could have bought freedom. Every minute you spend scrolling could have built an asset that pays you next year. Wealth isn't built by those who are lucky. It's built by those who take ownership, literally. The 3 excuses that keep people broke. Let's destroy them right now. Excuse number 1. I don't have money to invest. You don't need a fortune to start. You need discipline. The rich didn't wait to get rich to invest. They invested to get rich. Start small. Invest $10, $100, $500 a month. It's not the amount, it's the habit. Once you start, momentum takes over. Excuse number 2. I don't have time. That's the language of people who are owned by their calendars. The truth. You make time for what you value. The average person watches 20 hours of TV or scrolling per week. That's 80 hours a month. You could build a small business, learn a new skill, or create an income stream with that time. Don't say, I don't have time. Say, I haven't made wealth my priority. Then fix it. Excuse number 3. It's too risky. You know what's risky? Depending on one paycheck, trusting one boss, having one income stream in an economy that can replace you in a week. Risk isn't in the market. Risk is in your mindset. The moment you diversify your income, the moment you build multiple assets, your risk drops. Because now, your survival isn't controlled by anyone else. Here's the truth that most never want to face. Freedom has a price, and that price is accountability. You must take full ownership of your financial life. No one's coming to save you. Not the government. Not your employer. Not inflation. You save you. By building systems that pay you. By creating assets that protect you. by owning your output instead of renting your hours. So how do you start today? Here's your freedom formula. Calculate your escape number. How much do you need monthly to live comfortably? That's your target, not retirement, but freedom. Pick one asset class. Don't chase 10 ideas. Pick one: business, real estate, or digital. Master it. Automate your income. Set recurring investments. Build systems that run while you rest. Reinvest your profits. Don't inflate your lifestyle. Multiply your assets. Create cash flow before comfort. Freedom flexing. Every time. You don't escape the system overnight. You escape it decision by decision, dollar by dollar, day by day. Every asset you build is a step toward autonomy. Every liability you eliminate is a step away from slavery. This isn't about getting rich quick. It's about getting free forever. Because once your money works harder than you do, you're untouchable. The system can't own you anymore. You become what the system fears most: a free, financially independent individual who doesn't need permission to live on their terms. Let's end with this truth. Excuses build nothing. Assets build everything. You've learned to think differently, act differently, and build differently. Now it's time to own differently. Because freedom isn't about quitting the game. It's about changing the rules so you win by design. You've learned how to escape the system. Now it's time to secure your legacy. You were born into a system that rewards obedience and punishes independence. They told you to save, not invest. To work, not own. To survive, not thrive. But today, you know the truth. Money isn't earned. It's built, multiplied, and moved. You can keep playing the old game. Or you can learn the real rules. Start the business. Learn the skills. Build the assets. Cut the debt. Elevate your circle. Because every day you stay broke, someone else is getting rich off your inaction. The world doesn't pay for potential. It pays for results. So stop waiting for luck and start building leverage. This isn't motivation, it's math. Now go make your next move your best one and never be broke again.